Welcome to Ravens Over. Please go to my channel, also hit the notification bell, and like this video, and please share.
Hey, what's up? How you doing? How you been? What's going on? What's good? Are you getting it in? Somebody getting it for you? What's going on, people? Subscribe to my channel.
Okay, this is a late update on Layleen Polanco. Now I want to give you more information about her and a lot of different things I found out. Officials say that autopsy found that a transgender woman died of complication for epilepsy in New York City's Rikers Island. Is operating from her family's suspicion that jail conditions contribute to her death. Now, Layleen was arrested in April and was sent to jail complex because she could not afford $500. Her family says she was found unresponsive in her cell on June the 7th and later pronounced dead, according to the city departments of correction. Now, it's also stating that her death renewed at a conversation about the perils of a cash bail, pre-child detention, or others policy of civil rights groups says contribute to the criminalization of transgender women of color or other vulnerable communities. Now, Layleen was arrested on a misdemeanor charge of assault and harassment on court records show. She was taken into custody because she missed a court date as part of alternate to the incarceration program stemming from charges court records indicated. Now it's stating that her family believes that the decision to place her in segregation, also known as solitary confinement, despite knowing that she had epilepsy, contributed to her death, lawyer David said. The officer chief's medical examiner OCME said in a statement Tuesday that the cause of the death was a sudden unexplained death of epilepsy due to genetic mutation. Now, genetic testing on 27-year-old Bronx woman showed biological mutation in the gene which was likely caused her epilepsy. Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Barbara Stampton said that in a statement, adding that the variants of the genes are associated with seizures. Now, it's also stating that, give me a second here. We hope that the OCME determined helps provide answers to Layleen's family, friends, and the city deserved Deputy Commission Public Information Peter said that in the statement that the border investigation which is being led by the Bronx DA and Department of Investigation is ongoing, and we participated in it fully. The results did a little to alleviate her family belief that her death was prevented that she had been afforded proper care and accommodation for her medical condition. In addition, that the autopsy result that the family receives records confirming that Layleen epilepsy was well known in the correction department and that she had suffered multiple seizures while in Rikers Island, Shandy said. The documents show a jail doctor approved Layleen's placement in solitary confinement on May the 30th, said that it effectively became her death warrant. When an epilepsy person with a seizure, who has a seizure, they are at great risk or injury or death, unable to help themselves. Okay. They can fall, suffer trauma, or stop breathing, among other things. This is exactly how Layleen died, by leaving her in a locked cell, unmonitored. The jail created the risk of Layleen suffering a fatal seizure. That was told. This is not caused a mistake of a medical problem that slipped through the cracks. This was a throughout decision to put a person in a situation where the risk of injury and a death were obviously known. The Department of Correction denied Layleen was in solitary confinement and had restricted access to medical care or supervision. Now, she was placed in a restricted housing unit at the Rose M. Singer Center on May the 30th after she assaulted another person in custody, which I find to be a joke. Let me just read this part again. She was placed in restricted housing unit at the Rose M. Singer Center on May the 30th after she assaulted another person in custody in correction department said. This is the thing. I find that to be questionable. But let me try to get through this whole thing first. The department described the unit as a joint program and a correctional health service whose staff performs daily rounds 7 days a week. Residents have access to medical care 24 hours a day, and their request to visit the clinic, which is the same level of access that a woman in general population has, the department said. Residents also receive up to 7 hours a day outside of their cell programming services entertain. They can also participate in a group therapy and art therapy, the department said. Correction Health Services expressed condolences on Layleen's family, and that the OCME determined sudden unexpected death in epilepsy of SUDEP is a tragic and unpredictable complication in epilepsy communication directed by Jeannie said in a statement that Layleen was a member of the House of Extravaganza, a famed group of New York City drag ball scenes. After days of her death, members of Layleen's biological and extended family had a rally and demand justice. That her family lawyers said that their quest for the justice continue. As painful as these revelations are, they have forfeited the family's resolve to seek justice for Layleen. Okay, let me just go over to the next sector. I saw something. The reason why I was doing this because of another site I saw, and it's stating in reference to Layleen, which I don't know is it been reported or not, but I wanted to bring it to path only because I thought it was a positive thing, even though there's a horrific death, and I have so much to say about that. But let me just get this thing to move a little bit more. This is the thing. My system got a little slow. Okay, let me just get moving slow. This is the thing. I have questionable things about this as well because there's a lot that's unexplainable to me, and some things just sounds a little weird with me. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because it says that New York City Council passes a bill to expand services to transgender inmates after Layleen Polanco dies at Rikers Island. This story is being reported as of June 26, 2019. Transgender, non-conforming, non-binary, intersex inmate would get expanded protection and services under the package of legislation passes in the city council on Wednesday. The measure comes after a few weeks after a transgender woman was found dead in a cell at Rikers Island following her arrest on misdemeanor assault and theft charges in April. Now it's stating that Layleen was sent to the complex because she couldn't afford a $500 bail. Layleen, who has been held in solitary confinement, also faced drug and other charges back in 2017. She never should have been there, Rikers Island, to begin with. An entire series of events which led to her being in Rikers Island just shows you the deep injustice that flaws in the criminal system. Council Speaker Corey said, indeed, Manhattan, who was openly gay, said that before the vote, we are taking some serious steps to protect members of our trans community. Mayor de Blasio said also that Layleen should have never been in jail to begin with. The Board of Correction had to convince a task force dedicated to addressing policies related to the treatment of transgender, non-conforming, and non-binary intersex inmates under the bill. Now, it's also stating that, let me see. 1 second. Under the bill. The legislative sponsor, Councilman Hellerman, said the tragic death demands a greater accountability, transparency, how the city treats transgender, gender, non-conforming, and non-binary intersex people in the custody. Over 1/3 of trans and gender non-conforming people reported sexualized victimization in New York City jails She said that another bill would require all departments of correction facilities housing trans, gender non-conforming, non-binary, and intersex inmates to have access to mental health care and would require staff treatment them in a special training. Faculty training, faculty housing groups would also have access to substance abuse treatment, so they won't have to choose between living in the transgender housing unit and having access to that as well as that care. And the final measures would require DOC issues a report of housing requests relatable in gender identity. Between October 2018 and March, the Department of got 115 requests that for the transgender housing unit, which created back in 2015, according to the city officials. Give me a second. Is there any more? Okay. So if the story is accurate, it's supposed to be trying to do something much more better. That as a bill that's been required, a bill has been created. New York City Council passes a bill to expand services for transgender inmate after Layleen's death in Rikers Island. And basically, her death, they're going to try to create a bill basically to try to make it much more better in prison. And she never should have been in Rikers Island to begin with, especially on the charges that. This is the thing that gets me. I really feel the system is so flawed. It's so flawed in so many cases. And we know everything is not going to be 100% for her, but at the end of the day, if these charges are correct, she didn't kill anybody, she didn't murder anybody, she couldn't afford a $500 bill, and she was on solitary confinement, also faced drug and other charges dating back to 2017. This is the thing about the system, which is really people may not understand how this works. When they say drugs, this is what drugs means. Now, suppose you and I went out and we went to go smoke some, weed or whatever they call it, and we smoking it and stuff. We get caught. That's what we're being caught with drug charge. I mean, oh my God, you got drugs, which we know. You're not supposed to have it on you, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's been legalized. But at the end of the day, you know how this thing slipped through. So now it's funny. The way it's set up is like, oh, she had drugs with it. So I'm almost making the way they make it sound. My personal opinion, that she was basically out there selling drugs, which was probably not the case at all. If you have it on you, the way they will boost it up to try to keep you there, they will make it seem like she did this whole horrific thing, which I really highly doubt that that's what happened. Let me tell you something on another. Okay, let me just finish this. Face drug and other charges. Okay, this is the thing. That's what it could possibly be from my personal opinion. Also, it's dated back for 2017. Other charges, stuff like that. You already know what the other charge is. I'm not going to go into all that. And the thing is, my personal opinion, if that was the case, why couldn't you just put a little thing on her leg and monitor her from outside? Why could you put something on her leg? Why was she in prison? She didn't kill nobody. She didn't murder anybody. And if she was doing sex work, if this is accurate, she still ain't murdering nobody. She didn't kill nobody. She didn't murder anybody. And sex work means that I have to die in order to live. We keep forgetting that part. They mean all the dreams, everything I ever wanted in life, I've got to die in order for me to survive, unless I go pick up a gun and start killing people. But instead of me picking up a gun, going murdering people, I have to die inside and put my body up for sale. Let's think about what the real reason that is there. Okay. Let me just piggyback off this part right here for a second. On this other website now, it's stating that let me see if I can find this part. She was placed in a restricted housing at the Rose after she assaulted another person in custody. Let me tell you something. This is the part that gets me. She was placed in a restricted housing unit at Rose M. Singer Center on May the 30th after she assaulted another person in custody. I'm going to tell you something. I've seen Layleen before in person. Layleen was a really small little girl. Small, petite. Real petite and small. If you saw how little she was, if you saw how short she was, really, the thing about it that gets me here in this story, which I find to be almost absurd, is after she assaulted another person. You know why she assaulted them? Think about this. A beautiful girl inside a prison, flawless, passable, short, everything every man desires is sitting there in front of them. Guess what the men gonna do after around a whole bunch of men? They're looking at this beautiful girl sitting in front. Guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna try to take it from her. If it was a cisgender woman, they're gonna try to take it from her. Hell, they take it from the men. But a lot of you men are giving it up anyway, but I ain't gonna go there. And the thing is, she, in my personal opinion, fought back and said no. And by her saying no, being a two-spirit woman, she assaulted the person back. Of course she assaulted them. You putting your hands on me trying to take my stuff, I'm going to fight you back. Now you see me fighting you back because you're not going to rape me in prison. Now all of a sudden I assaulted you. If y'all think about, I said being a tall, black, transgender woman, if y'all go back to that video, if y'all really think about it, I talked about this whole thing, and I didn't even do this, I didn't even read this to just now in front of you, and I showed y'all and I told y'all exactly how it goes, how when I was in a situation and the cops came and got me, and they let the two guys go away. Now remember, two guys on one person, and they let them go, and they took and carded me. Why did y'all stop them? It was just them, it was 2 against 1, but they stopped me. They had me by the SWAT car. They let them guys go. That set me up. That set me up. They saw me to be a threat against 2 big black ass men. Big men. And here it is. A beautiful girl that's really little, really past, because I've seen her in person before in New York. I've seen her a few times. And the girl was beautiful, outstandingly flawless, no makeup, nothing. She was really short. And the thing about it, she was placed in a restricted housing unit in Rose M. Singer, May the 30th after she assaulted another person. I mean, come on now. Come on now. Anyway, I just wanted to give you an update on this. I'm not going to go too much because my nose is going to start bleeding, and I can't. I have no doctor, and my blood pressure going up, and I can't afford to get no more nosebleeds because I can't afford to go in the hospital. I'm not supposed to be doing these stories in the doctor's orders. Anyway, y'all know I'm not supposed to be doing these stories. I'm going to be dead soon, and I can see how I'm going to die. Doing these stories is literally killing me. I am dying right before your eyes. I'm sure one person that did a blog of me be glad when I'm dead. And I'm sure they'll do a blog about that. And you already know what I'm talking about. Anyway, like I said before, she was a beautiful woman. And the family in my prayers. Rest in peace, my sister. Rest in peace. You know, even if they found drugs on her, which I think probably it was weed, maybe she was smoking it for epilepsy. Because it's supposed to help. You know, like I said before, I hate doing these stories. We need to ask her the answer. We need to ask her what really happened. We need to ask her, did she really have an epilepsy fit? We need to ask her, did somebody come in that room with her? Do we need to ask her? We can't answer. We can't ask her. Because reports can be altered. We need to ask her, what happened? Anyway, like I said before, subscribe to my channel. Y'all comment below. Share the video if we can. Let me know how I feel about this. Do y'all feel this is questionable? Because every time one of us go inside of prison or jail, it's always something extra that we find to be very questionable. Share this video where you can. I'll be reading your comments. Let you I love you. And thank you for watching Catch the Rave.